All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. This is part two of Big Daddy Cool Diesel. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into this, man. This is his unfortunate last 2 years in WWE before he jumped ship to WCW. We'll cover that in a little bit. I wish he would have stayed longer, but it is what it is. We left off the last episode. We were talking about how he squashed Bob Backlund for the WWE Championship Survivor Series in 1994. So going into now 1995, Bret Hart's got his new attitude, sort of that he's pretty much not giving a crap, and he's out for vengeance. Doesn't care who's it against. Diesel promised Bret Hart a match for the WWE title, which took place at the Royal Rumble. This match was hands down one of the best, and
Yeah, no, it was a great match. I mean,
it had to end the way it did for both guys to like. If Bret loses, now his career is kind of
yeah, they had a
not in
both.
trouble, but it's on the down.
They were
It's going
protecting
down.
Brett. They
Yeah,
were just
exactly.
basically protecting Brett.
And
Yeah.
so both saved face in this match, even though it was
The
one of the
pro
best matches.
the problem is this is the beginning of Diesel acting nice, and he's taking pictures with, you know, like,
He's reading comic books in the back.
he's doing a little bit.
Jokes.
He's cracking jokes, and
He's wearing stupid sweaters.
yeah, you could see like they're. This is not. He got over being
This
a
is not the
badass.
Diesel.
No. And then they started getting into his personal life too. I think they refer to him as Kevin at some point.
Yeah.
They talk about how he played basketball at the University of Tennessee and all this stuff, and it's people like Diesel. They don't want
Kevin.
this. Yeah,
Well, this was, and we'll get to it at the end of 1995. This was WWE corporate, the marketing suits telling them to be a little bit more politically correct.
Yeah.
We need you to smile more. We don't need you to smile, Diesel. We need you to whoop that ass.
hmm yeah,
And you were doing it in 94, and the smiling and stuff just needed to go.
yeah.
So the match ended in a draw due to interference from not only Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart, which made these first three made sense. Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, and Bob Backlund all have grievances with the opponents in the ring. Now, the last two idiots that jumped into this ring, explain to me where they fit into this. The Roadie and your favorite wrestler of all time, Jeff Jarrett.
Well, Jeff Jarrett and Rhodey go hand in hand, so they're basically
I know,
one.
but explain to me why they're in there. I never understood. They don't have a feud with either one, and yet they're getting into the ring.
He must have. Jeff Jarrett must have faced Diesel, or was going to face him on Raw or something like that.
Or maybe Bret Hart. It doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly,
I don't remember. It's so long ago that I don't remember.
I don't remember if Bret's comeback match after the alleged injury with the shoulder was against Jeff. Don't hold me on that.
I don't know.
That could
Either
be
way,
it. Who
either
knows?
way, it was kind
Either
of
way, he doesn't belong in there.
it was stupid. I can understand Owen and Sean, but
And even Backlund.
and I've spoke about this before, is that Sean got there too late, and Brett had to actually get his shoulder up
Yep.
from the jackknife. They don't acknowledge it though. You have to actually watch the match to see this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, I think after the second time they interfere, you see all of a sudden you see Backlund's little creepy ass kind of tiptoeing over to Brett to put the chicken wing on him. And this is where you wonder, is Diesel the heel or not? Because he looks at him, pauses for a second. All right, I'll go over, and he helps him.
hmm
So this is where it's like, oh, is this Big Daddy Cool or is this Kev?
Yeah. And it's after this that he does that interview. I don't know if you remember this. He does an interview with Vince McMahon where he's in the WWF studios.
Yeah, and this is the one where he's asking him, how does it take a toll on your wife? The 300 days.
Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
remember that.
And it's just that's not Diesel, man.
They
Like,
shouldn't have done this. Now you've made him like humanized.
like a human. You humanized him, and it just doesn't work, man. It's
not with
like
this persona, not with this gimmick.
if a character gets over in a certain way, you can't switch the character like that. It doesn't work.
No,
It
yeah,
doesn't work. Yeah, it was. And he was talking about.
because now he's all. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not a badass anymore, but
No, he's like a regular guy that's just a big.
like limp almost, like pacifist
Right,
type thing.
yeah.
It just doesn't fit
I didn't.
anymore.
I didn't care for it. I didn't care.
I mean, you might as well put him in tie dye and let him skip down to the ring. But in any event, now Michaels was irate about his former bodyguard having beaten him to the WWE Championship, and was now motivated to win the Royal Rumble, which obviously he did. one of the worst rumbles ever because that 1 minute thing. I mean, he goes in at number one and finishes it all, but a 1 minute every 1 minute interval. I can't really say
Mm.
that. Oh yeah, he went through the whole thing. I'm like,
Yeah,
it was
but
a
that's
30-minute rumble.
they
I
never,
mean,
but they never really talk about that though. Like we know from watching it, but after that, it was never. No one ever
yeah,
talks about that. They just say, "Oh, he won it as number one. He won." That
yeah.
was it.
Now
Was
if
he
it was
one?
ever,
Was he one or he was one? Bulldog was two, right?
it was 1 and 2. Both of them were 1 and 2. They
And they
both started it
lasted.
and they both
Yeah, they both.
ended
Yeah.
it. And I really thought Bulldog won it when they played his music. I was like,
They
oh,
did. I know they
cool.
screwed him, and then because
Bulldog and Diesel, sweet. This will be a good match at WrestleMania.
Sean was holding on with the 1 foot on the ground.
Only one of Shawn Michaels' feet hit the floor, which now all of a sudden this rule came about. We never heard about this until then. And then, Howard Finkel, the winner of the 1990. I mean, it's just,
Right.
I'm like 1 foot. I was like, I thought all you had to do was hit 1 foot. Oh, now it's 2 feet. Oh, okay, good to know. In any event, this led to them to April 2nd, 1995, WrestleMania.
Well, don't forget he hired his new bodyguard, Sid.
Oh yeah,
So that was a big thing that happened before that he brings in Sid as his new bodyguard. What I didn't like was there's a promo, I forget when it happens, and Sean is cutting a promo on Diesel. I think Sid is next to him too. I could be wrong, but I think Sid was
WrestleMania press conference.
Yeah, when it was, but he's pointing at him and he's like, I had to earn everything I got. I had to, work for 7 years to get this title shot. Basically saying that Diesel was just handed everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna. I don't know if he says he's gonna steal the show or he said something. I'm gonna put on the performance.
That was the WrestleMania. Yes,
performance of a lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
that was the WrestleMania press conference? Yeah.
Was that the one where he says, "Why? Because I can." Is that him? I will put on a show. It was this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now think about this. He's a heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's babyface stuff.
Exactly.
So Sean is, to me, this is watching it. Now, I don't really like Sean. I like him when he comes back in 2002, but this Sean I never really cared for. But I felt like he was just putting himself over and going into business for himself. Meanwhile, Diesel is your babyface. So I didn't like that. It's just
Sean turned it into a fan favorite match. Because for him it was because he's fighting his best friend in the main event of WrestleMania.
And when we get into the match, we'll talk about
Diesel was accompanied to ringside by Pamela Anderson, who was supposed to valet Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
But she didn't want no part of that. Michaels was accompanied by Jenny McCarthy and new bodyguard Psycho Sid. Don't call me Psycho. Diesel defeated Michaels and left the ring with both Anderson and McCarthy. Now, this match, we've talked about on the WrestleMania 11 review how bad WrestleMania was. This match was pretty decent.
No, it was.
This is one of the best ones on the card. But again, like I just said, we both said, Sean came off as this being a fan favorite match. Now I know that this was the gimmick that was going to be going forward, but it's felt like he jumped the gun a little bit.
No, it wasn't even the gimmick going forward because they didn't decide to make Sean a fan favorite until after WrestleMania. Like literally after that match, Vince decides I'm going to make this guy a babyface and I'm going to push him. That's what happens. It almost
felt like he did it already. I mean,
because Sean goes into business for himself. And look, it was a great match. You could see Sean trying to get Diesel tired. And even Kevin Nash said that he tried to blow him up because he's going so fast.
Yeah.
And this was supposedly his best friend. But there was animosity because you got to think about it. Even though that's his best friend, Diesel spoke about this. Kevin Nash. Listen, Kevin Nash's dream was to play basketball. He blows his knee out. He ends up doing other stuff. He goes in the army, is a bouncer. Then he gets into wrestling. He never wanted to be a wrestler. Sean's lifelong dream was to be a wrestler. And who gets the belt first? Kevin Nash. So, of course, Sean kind of had some animosity, despite the fact that how close they were.
Yeah.
So it's still a good match. But Sean is going out of his way to show I'm the man. Like he wasn't. If you watch this match, he's not getting Diesel over. He's getting himself over. It is, in my opinion, with all those high spots and the speed and everything. You watch that match and you're like, this guy should be the main guy, not the other guy, not Diesel.
I agreed. So he was proven that said that this match should be the other way around.
And then he screws up that jackknife, taking the jackknife. I think on purpose. Mm-hmm. He lands like on his feet. I think he did that on purpose, man. I don't know, man.
That's possible.
Yeah. So
I mean, Sean was known for trying to steal the spotlight.
yeah,
I'm
and he
not
did.
I'm not saying you're wrong, Dan. Yeah,
He
he
did.
tried to take it away for himself,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I mean, he knew going in, like, okay, you're going to be the challenger for the title, but you're not winning it.
I mean, he was.
Which
To be fair, too.
that was kind of unrare too. That a challenger doesn't win it.
To be fair, too, Sean was also pissed that and Diesel for that matter that Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam were in the main event. So
we've talked about that too.
So that might have
not been a main event.
Yeah, that might have played into this match too. Like, Sean was like, "Oh, I'm going to show him." So it might not have been just about showing up his boy.
That match was garbage.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
Either way,
that's what happens when you get celebrities that go in, man. They get the automatic spots and they get the guaranteed victories. I mean, hell, look at Floyd Mayweather, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's garbage. If their frustration was that, I totally agree with them.
Yeah.
Because and how many times have you heard me say that the WWE title, should be the main event at WrestleMania, not something like that. So, in any event, now the next night on Raw was something to watch because I thought this was fun. Michaels challenges Diesel. Diesel accepts for the next match, and he tells Sid, "Big man, I'm going to give you the night off for this one."
You don't give Sid the night off.
You don't give me the night off. And what was it? 3 power bombs he gave him?
Yeah, I think it was 3. It was 3 or 4. It might have been 3. I remember it was a few. More than one.
Oh yeah. When I watched that night, I'm like, okay, Shawn Michaels is a fan favorite now.
Yeah, and I think he's hurt. I think he hurt Shawn. I think the story is that he actually legitimately hurt Shawn with one of them.
Yeah, I think he his back when he
something
down.
Because I think the original plan, I could be wrong, was for Sid to go into a feud with Shawn, but Shawn got hurt. Yes. He was out for a little while, and so.
Yes, I do believe that at the inaugural In Your House was supposed to be Shawn and Sid.
So Diesel,
who Diesel was going to face, I have no idea.
Diesel saves him, right? He runs out. Well, not saves him, but
Diesel comes to Shawn's rescue now, which now reunites the team.
Yeah.
So, which is weird considering the following night after you guys just fought each other, coming off this feud, now we're back together again. It was weird how fast that happened. And again, like you said, how Shawn was at WrestleMania, Shawn put that in motion prematurely.
Yeah,
because I really believe Vince's idea would have been eventually Shawn would be turned over. I just, like you said, I don't think
he said Vince McMahon is quoted as saying Shawn Michaels will never be a babyface, and it wasn't until that night at WrestleMania that he saw Shawn steal the show that he's like, oh, this guy's a babyface. Meanwhile, people were telling him for years.
Yeah, and they were already cheering him at this point too. They were starting to catch on to Shawn and what he could do in the ring, and they were loving it. I mean, I was a Shawn Michaels fan when he was a heel after the Rockers because I saw what he could do, and he was entertaining. Because when you break up a tag team and you go out on your own, most of the time it's not going to work, and they're going to fall through the cracks, and it's going to be over. Shawn Michaels made sure that didn't happen and stayed relevant, and he paid his dues, and good for him. But I always knew eventually he would be a fan favorite. Mm-hmm. Vince not saying that. Vince is full of it. So now the inaugural In Your House pay-per-view on May 14th, 1995. Diesel retains the title against Psycho Sid, as well as In Your House 2.
That was a stinker. Yes, Stinker 1 and Stinker 2.
Big time. July 23rd, 1995. Yeah, either one of these matches were good, and I also didn't like the fact that he didn't defend the title at King of the Ring when he teamed with Bam Bam.
Well, he was actually hurt. He had some sort of an injury. I don't know if it was his elbow, and they had to protect him.
Yeah, he had an extra padding on it. Yes,
I think they operated on his elbow, and that's what happened. Yeah.
So then it would make sense to go into a tag match. We get Bam Bam Bigelow, really. So.
Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah, real briefly. Remember, he became best friends with Bam Bam Bigelow after.
Because
he got thrown out of the corporation
because of losing to Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's friends with everybody now.
Yeah. He fought him on Raw. Remember, Diesel fought him on Raw, and he gave him a really bad jackknife.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I think he landed on his ass cheeks on that one.
It was. I remember it was bad.
He never.
He
hit
fell.
His
I
back
think Diesel
fully.
fought. Does Diesel fall with him? My memory is a little hazy.
It was 26 years ago.
Yeah. I think he falls.
I think it was because Bigelow. either he jumped in it too much or didn't. Whatever the case was,
I
and
don't know.
Bigelow's a big guy.
Yeah.
Something happened. They botched it.
Yeah.
But this is the year of Diesel one not having good title matches, with the exception of Shawn to date. And it doesn't get any better as I bring up his next opponent.
Yeah, we'll get into
because
that.
this was really bad. And that's at SummerSlam when Diesel had to face Mabel. And Mabel was no main event contender until he wins the Crown King of the Ring at the King of the Ring. And now all of a sudden he's your main event top heel. I'm like, where'd this come from?
It's the battle. It's the battle of the big guys. They felt like Mabel would be like a big threat because he's so physically imposing, and it's hard because Diesel's so big. It's hard for the fans to ever think like he's actually in danger, like he's actually going to lose.
Yeah.
So they figured, oh well, we can make Mabel this monster heel, but Mabel was hurting people. He hurts Diesel in this match. He sits on him, squashes him, and he injures him, and then
well, you saw what he did to the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Hurt him.
Yeah. So, this match was another stinker.
Big time.
They had Lex Luger involved. They had Mo get involved.
Lex not even under contract, and like nobody knows what he's doing out there. And he's heading to Nitro next night or the next week.
Bad. King Mabel, yeah.
Because I honestly believe the next feud for him, I believe that Luger was supposed to go to the next In Your House to face Diesel.
Yeah, I guess that's what it looked like, but
it looked like that, but we don't know because Luger had left literally that night.
Right.
And Vince thought he was sticking around on a handshake.
Well, because Bulldog had betrayed Diesel, and so then he automatically figured, well, that's his tag partner, so he's probably in on it too, and that's why when Luger came to help, Diesel whips his ass. So
it was just bad. Luger and Diesel at SummerSlam. I might buy that a lot better than I would Luger.
Yeah,
Mabel.
Yeah, because they had a great match on Monday Night Raw the year prior, that summer. I believe it was the summer of '94. They had a really good match.
That I could believe, and if Luger wants to leave after Diesel beats him, so be it. But that match at SummerSlam might have been better than the garbage we got. So, in any event, on September 24th, 1995, now we go to In Your House 3. And it was Diesel and Shawn Michaels challenging the reigning tag team champions, Owen Hart and Yokozuna. I actually like this match.
With all the belts, it was a winner take all, right? That was the match, winner take all.
Two chaps with 4 straps was their moniker for themselves.
I thought it was cool, man. It was something different.
It was, and unfortunately, this was Yokozuna's last shot at the WWE title.
Yeah.
So, and now what was funny was, and I thought I was going to see this during the match, I was thinking about this before the pay-per-view showed up, is, okay, now, obviously, if Yoko pins Diesel, he's the WWE champion and Owen will be the Intercontinental champion. Now, would there be any jealousy between the two if one of them tried to pin the WWE champion?
Right,
and the other one's like, wait a minute, no, I want that belt. And I thought maybe we'd see that at this pay-per-view. We didn't. One, because Owen didn't show up, so they put the British Bulldog in as acting tag team champion. Go towards the end of the match now, Owen Hart. This is where they saved it to where they wouldn't be champions of all the belts. Owen Hart shows back up, goes off the top rope. Diesel catches him, jackknife powerbomb. Owen gets pinned. They get the belts. Now, obviously, the stipulation, he wasn't valid in the match. It was Bulldog and Yoko, so therefore they don't get the tag belts.
So stupid. So they don't even have the match.
Exactly.
To begin with.
If you're not going to do it, then don't do it.
Right. That's stupid.
They threw a cheesy stipulation in there.
But for one night, they had all the belts.
Yep.
And I thought that was cool, man. As a kid watching that, I was rooting for them. I was rooting for Shawn and Diesel to get all the belts. We had never seen that before.
Nope. And it would have been cool if they actually ran with it for a little while instead of the next night.
Yeah.
This is null and void now. Give the belts back.
Apparently, Vince wasn't too high on it. Like, he didn't even want to do it. He was convinced. So this whole two chaps with all the straps. So
I mean, on a Monday Night Raw, a couple of weeks before the next pay-per-view, they could have lost the belts.
I know. I mean, instead they just stripped them.
But just let them run with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes down on the record books. They had all the belts at one point, at least for 24 hours.
Yeah, I know.
But it's Vince. So unfortunately now, Diesel's reign as champion, it started taking its toll on him because before he goes to Survivor Series, he was actually on a losing streak. because I don't know if you remember this. He lost the match to Waylon Mercy on Monday Night Raw, and then he loses to Owen Hart, not by pinfall. I believe it was disqualification and a count out. But now he's starting to get frustrated.
Well,
because he's not on that winning streak now.
Well, here's the behind the scenes thing. The business was in the toilet, and they said that at that point Diesel was the worst drawing champion. Probably not his fault, you know.
No, because you left the two biggest challengers, you held them back that year for him to face.
So business is really bad. The house shows are doing terribly. Business is not good, and so they made the decision to pivot and take the belt off of Diesel.
Yep. At Survivor Series, November 19th, 1995, he was defeated by Bret Hart, and it wasn't so much the sharpshooter or anything. He played possum and rolled him up.
It was a great match. Let's talk
it was a great match.
It was a great match.
Oh, it was an awesome match.
That was the first time.
Always said that.
First time somebody went through a table in WWF.
Yes, I love that part.
Yeah,
I just didn't like the roll up. That's the only thing. The only problem with that match. It was a great match. I've always said Bret and Diesel great matches. Just the roll up.
Okay. I didn't care for it, but I understand why they did it.
You see him cursing when he got up.
Yeah. And also to protect Diesel, and then to have Diesel snap. Like he showed him some sympathy, checking on him if he was okay, and then he gets rolled up, and then he snaps, and then he just
gets screwed. Yeah, and then he snaps on Bret.
Attacking him. Mm-hmm. Gives him the jackknife.
Yep. And that leads us to the night after, which was awesome. The promo he cut. He not only does he interrupt the Savio skip match, which thank you, by the way, because that match was just trash. He interrupts the match, and this is not Diesel talking to you. This felt like this was Kevin Nash coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And he laid it all out. He goes, I should come out here and apologize for what I did to Bret and for what I did to my fans, and he wasn't going to do it. And then he talked about how he was the 24 hours after he wins the belt, he's up in Titan Tower. They're telling him he needs to be more politically correct. He needs to smile more. The marketing suits.
All that happened. That's real. It was half a shoot.
Oh yeah. And then he tells Vince, "You missed the ball on that one." And there was a little bit of Kevin Nash NWO kind of coming out. You can see that now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, for the first time, after last, I slept like a baby for the first time in a year. And this was the start of his heel turn, but to me, the heel turn didn't become official till the following year.
Yeah, he doesn't really, because at some point I think he still. Well, yeah, he teams up with Shawn, so they're still.
He fights Owen Hart at the Next In Your House in December. And the fans are still cheering for him, so he's still a fan favorite.
They were kind of trying to shift him back into being the badass.
Yeah, because the attitude was coming back.
He says something like, he says something about he does appreciate his fans, but like only the ones that stick by him. So if you don't have a black glove on, yeah.
That's it.
I this is one of his better promos, and had they let him be this from the beginning, I think that his reign as a champion goes a little bit different. But this is prior to the Attitude Era, so I think they were still stuck in that. Oh, he's got to be like a baby face and smiling and all this other stuff.
And that, like I said before, they left the two biggest challengers for him for his title defense for his reign. They held them back that year, and that being Bret Hart and The Undertaker.
Yeah.
If Diesel faces the two of them in 1995, I think his reign goes a little bit better than it was. Instead, you hand him Mabel.
It was tricky because they were all baby faces. So
I know, and Vince wasn't fond of doing those type of matches, even though they had been done prior. Bulldog Bret.
And then it becomes a mess of like, oh, who's gonna lose face, who's gonna not lose face, this guy's gonna look strong. But I get it. I understand why at the time.
It sucks, but as fans, we wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We get the matches in '96, just not the outcome that we thought we were going to get. So, as the heel turn starts, like I said, In Your House that year, the next month, he faces Owen Hart because Bret went on to face the British Bulldog. Diesel starts his heel turn at the Royal Rumble. We talked about that. Diesel. He started a rivalry with The Undertaker, which I thought got that going to WrestleMania. Awesome match. Again, wanted to see it in 95. Now we're going to get to see it. He cost The Undertaker this match against Bret Hart for the title. And in the Royal Rumble match now, Diesel enters at number 22 and was the last wrestler eliminated by Shawn Michaels. So Shawn Michaels is back-to-back Royal Rumble winner. Diesel comes back in the ring, and Shawn literally is shitting bricks. You look at this face, And he's like, oh, damn. And Diesel's just like, he's getting himself ready.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, just do it already. Let's get this going because we know it's coming. He puts his arm up, and then, Shawn's like, okay.
Right, yeah.
Thank you for not killing me today.
Right.
I mean, that was a little cheesy. But, I mean, Shawn eliminates Diesel. Diesel's now, it's really getting to him now because the losing streak is still going. I mean, even though he beat Owen, I mean, it's still he's not in the title picture. So February 18th, 1996, at In Your House 6, Diesel faces Bret Hart in a steel cage match, which I got to admit, on his way out in 1996, he's getting a lot of title shots. I mean, seriously. He's facing Bret. He's facing Shawn.
Well, they know that his contract is coming up, so they're trying to
best out of him.
Yeah, let's have him in these.
The three top guys he's facing. I mean, he had a best 5-month run right there, facing guys like Bret, Undertaker, and Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that he left. We'll get to that in a second. I really wish he would have stuck around. Imagine the other matches we would have had with him, especially as a heel Diesel that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So. He loses against Bret in the cage because of the Undertaker now.
Yeah, Undertaker comes from under the ring, and he drags him down.
It was, and he's over there clawing and stuff. I mean, this was just awesome stuff.
It was great. It was great.
WWE was still in the crapper in '96, but to me, start of '96,
they were making the turn. They were making the turn. Yeah. It was nothing compared to '95. I mean,
'96 was a good year in my opinion. Shawn running with the belt, even though they don't give him the credit.
That's the shame of it. Too. That's the shame of it that Diesel was champion in the worst year in the history. I don't know if it's the worst in the history of WWF, but up until that point, like 95, everyone knows that was a terrible year.
They say 95 and 96 were the worst years.
It was 95. 95 was the worst though.
Oh yeah, I agree. But they say 96 because of all the guys that left.
Yeah.
And Shawn was trying to run them with the ball.
Yeah.
On the Titanic, pretty much.
But creatively, 95 was a horror.
Oh God, man! I told you the story. When my son got interested in wrestling, I showed him everything. We did it in order. And when we got to 1995, I think we were up to right before the Survivor Series. He looks at me and goes, "Can we please just go to 1996? Because I can't take much more of this. I'd rather you ground me."
It was bad.
That's how bad it was. Yeah. Like a new wrestling fan spotted this. And never again will he watch anything from 1995.
So, but according to Nash, this is the reason why that match versus Bret, that cage match, is the reason why he leaves. And I spoke about this in another episode. He claims that he was in a meeting with Bret. Undertaker was there as well. And Bret was basically supposed to have Bret beaten clean, and the Undertaker comes in and just stops him. Yeah. And Bret was saying, like, I'm not going to do that because I already got saved last time by Diesel interfering in the match. I was already beaten. Now, again, I'm going to be beaten, but then I'm still going to WrestleMania to fight Shawn, and you're hurting my character because you're already making me look weak. So I'm going to lose to Shawn because I already almost lost 2 times in a row here. I should have been out of here. And that supposedly Undertaker says, "Motherfucker, this is not about you." Supposedly, and he gets up, and supposedly Diesel decides, okay, I'm out of here. I can't deal with this guy, Bret. I don't believe that. I believe that he saw the numbers that that Scott Hall was going to get.
Yeah, I'm about to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
The one thing I've always said about Kevin Nash is he never says the same thing twice. And I caught him on that. Just a quick side note. When he was on Broken Skull Sessions with Steve Austin asked him the same question that was asked of him when they did the Monday Night Wars segment. You look at his answer that he gave here, and you look at his answer that he gave back then to the same question, and they're different. He's also given multiple stories about the night that DX was going to invade Nitro.
Yeah.
How he tells you that first it was him and Lex Luger at the door, and Bischoff's telling him don't open it. The next time they talk to him about it, it's him and Scott Steiner at the door, and Bischoff's not even there. So it's like, what are you going to believe? So
I don't believe him. First of all, I believe that Bret is right. If that did happen the way it happened, I believe that Bret is right in that circumstance. About that. And the other thing is, Kevin Nash has gone on to say time and time again that he just cared about getting paid. like Brett legitimately loved the business, and now I know he was a mark for himself. We know that about Brett. He took it ultra seriously.
Seriously.
But you got one guy that loves the business and one guy that loves money. So
you saw that in WCW. I mean, come on.
So
the guy gets $500,000 to be the booker. What's the first thing he does? Oh, I'm gonna ruin Goldberg's streak and put the belt on myself. And then they're like, well, we'll give you more money, because then he wanted to get out of booking, and then they're like, well, we'll offer you more money. He goes, okay, well, do the storylines have to make sense?
Right, yeah,
he was every time he was in charge, it was always for himself. I mean, we all saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it was hidden. Every time he had the opportunity, he put the belt on himself.
Exactly. So,
and he ruins one of the greatest streaks ever in a shitty fashion, and that was him. So, in any event, we get into now before his final farewell matches. Let's talk about the contract situation. Shortly before Mania, Diesel's contract was in a state of flux because it was set to expire. At the time, WCW was offering huge money to WWE superstars. They were offering guaranteed contracts, something Vince could never do for anybody. That's why guys like Duggan and all of them split. Over the past 2 years, there were several high-profile stars to sign. The only two really that come to mind were Hogan and Savage. And Hogan was out of the business, so he wasn't even really in WWE when Bischoff got him. So, I mean, he was just a free agent doing stupid TV shows when Bischoff happened to talk to him.
Yeah, but at the same time, he told Vince that he would not, sign with anybody else. So
yeah, well, we know Hogan's a hypocrite. I mean, dollar signs is going to change everybody. Like DiBiase said, his famous quote: "Everybody's got a price." It's legit. I mean, you offer Hogan the right money, he's going to forget what he ever said. His principles will go out the window. Savage, on the other hand, I mean, he was told by Vince, "Look, you're not going to wrestle. You're going to commentate." He said, "No, screw this. I'm out of here." Yeah. So, which was wrong. I think Vince should have kept him wrestling. So, and there was a process at the time. They were in the process at the time of talking to Diesel's friend Scott Hall, Eric Bischoff was, Razor Ramon, about a contract because his was set to expire as well. So, Nash explained that Hall had been the first to sign with WCW and was offered a contract that paid him. They called it above Sting money. It was the phrase that they used. Sting money. I found that phrase several times. Hall also informed Nash that he had been given, they called it favored nations. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what the favored nation status is, it meant that if someone new was hired for more money, Hall's contract would increase to match that contract. So anybody they brought in after that, they automatically got paid. And that included celebrities at the time: Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman, Jay Leno. Anybody that they brought in, even 50 Cent when he was there briefly on Nitro, whatever his contract was, Hall and Nash would actually go to that. So they were pretty much going to be making top dollar regardless.
I think it was Master P. Oh, it was Master
P. I'm sorry. A long time ago. Even Chucky probably got a contract too.
Rodman made them a lot of money, supposedly.
Oh yeah, he did. He was given a lot to come in and do his brief thing, and naturally Hall and Nash got jumped. Let's not forget how they got new contracts a year after being there because Bischoff thought they were going back to WWE when Ross was announcing the characters.
I've heard that story, but I don't know, man. I've heard that story.
Well, they both it was on the Monday Night Wars episode.
I know, but
they both mentioned it. I mean, because supposedly Bischoff went and opened up the checkbook, signed it, and said, "Write the amount, whatever it takes." And no matter how many times they said, "We're not going anywhere," he didn't believe them. And then after he sees the fake Diesel and Razor, I remember Nash looking over, going, "Idiot." I mean, it was on there. Whether or not
I know, I've heard that.
This was told by Nash.
So. That's why I question.
And Hall.
I mean, maybe
both of them had said it
because I think that when they had signed that initial WCW contract, I think there was some sort of a opt out or something like that. I think in it, it wasn't like set in stone. Because if it was set in stone, they would have been like, no, we're not going to.
It was a 3-year contract. After the opt out, I believe, was after the first 18 months to 2 years.
I think it was something like I don't remember what it was.
Which was coming up, but they weren't opting out. Yeah. But they weren't going anywhere because they were. Think about the contract: 120 days that he has to work as far as compared to 300. Now, to this day, I can't understand how Bischoff could pull that off, considering these are your two biggest guys, and you only want them working 4 months out of the year. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, but who's not going to jump on that?
No, because they weren't going to be doing a lot of like the house shows and stuff like that. That's why. So it would have been fine.
And then when he brought Thunder in, then he figured I had to bring in a whole set of guys because now I'm using these guys up on Nitro every week.
Yeah.
And Thunder was trash from the word go. But I mean, it was unheard of. And especially when Nash was told 120 days, he's like, wait, what? He's like, I'm moving 300 here. It's insane. Bischoff ended up offering him a 3-year guaranteed contract with a $1.2 million annual salary.
Guaranteed.
Yep. And Nash had gone to Vince and said, look, this according to Nash, I don't want to go, but if you can offer me this, if you can give me this contract, I'll stay. Vince told him that the company was in, how should we put it?
Financial peril? That's what he told Brett.
Yeah, pretty much.
A year later.
They were in a bad financial situation, financial peril. I like that better.
Yeah.
And that he couldn't, if he offered it to him, he'd have to offer it to everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, let's hold the phone right there. Marty Jannetty comes up and tells you that he was offered $1.5 million a year. Give me that or I walk. You think Vince is going to go, okay. Vince is going to go, I'll help you pack.
No, but he was talking about the top guys. He was talking about Undertaker, Brett, Shawn, all those guys. That's what he meant.
The only other guy's contract that was up at that point was Brett, which thank God he didn't jump ship, and X-Pac, but or 1-2-3 but he wasn't worth no $1.2 million. Yeah. I'm sorry. Maybe Brett definitely.
Who the hell knows?
But yeah, he said if I offer it to you, I got to give it to everybody else. I don't do the guaranteed thing, so I'm sorry, I can't do it. So Diesel then signed with WCW shortly thereafter, but he held to his contractual obligations. So unfortunately now, with this happening, Diesel and Razor are going to be just thrown through the mud, unfortunately. And to be quite honest, I call it the Hall and Nash syndrome when they start doing that to you. If you watch Monday Night Raw right now or SmackDown, they're doing that to Kevin Owens because he's opting to possibly leave in January to go to AEW. So now they're starting to do that to him where he's going to lose and look bad every week. Unfortunately. And they did it to Ambrose too, by the way. So now Diesel loses to The Undertaker, WrestleMania 12. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it.
Had a good build-up.
Mm-hmm. This match, this is where he finally had turned heel. Well, by this point, it was full-fledged. And then his last feud was with Shawn Michaels. At a live event at Madison Square Garden, Diesel turned on Shawn.
That's right.
And on April 28, 1996, at In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, lost a no-holds-barred match to Shawn. And I love the build up, and even going down to the ring, you see Shawn Michaels is not even waiting. He's taking off his gear, getting ready to fight him. Personally, he was pissed at him because if you watch this match, this isn't a choreographed match. This was a fight between two friends. He was pissed that him and Razor were leaving.
I don't know. I always thought it was just part of the story. I didn't think that they were.
He said later on, it was one of his thousands of interviews, you could probably find it on YouTube, that he was upset that they were leaving him to hold the ball in a company that was literally like they jumped off the sinking ship.
I'm sure on some level he was upset, but I don't think it had anything to do with the match. I don't think that that played into the match. I think that was part of the story. Diesel had turned on him, and
it looked real. I mean, it looked real for real, rather. It looked like it was legit almost. And they put on a hell of a match for that In Your House, and Shawn Michaels gets the win. And I love when he pins him, he gets up, points and tells him, "Get the hell out of here."
And he says, WCW, he says, "You want to go where the big boys play?" And he starts posing like Hogan.
Yeah. And then not only early in the night, they squashed Razor Ramon with Vader.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this wasn't the last time, though, we hear from them. I'm going to bring up the most famous thing. This was another breaking of what would you call it, the fourth wall? He wrestled one more time on May 19th, 1996, in a steel cage match against Shawn at Madison Square Garden. This was the famous curtain call. Mm-hmm. I love this. Now, what's funny about this is, if it wasn't for that fan video, we'd never know this existed.
Yeah, we never would have saw it.
Other than word of mouth, because there was no social media back then. And I love watching this because at the end of the match, now before that night, Razor fought Triple H. Razor loses, and the fans are going, "You sold out," and Razor's actually going to the crowd like, "Come on, man, you wouldn't do it for the money either. Don't be that way. I'm sorry." They're just trashing him for it, and all right, whatever the case is, like they wouldn't do it themselves if they had the chance to get the money. Come on, everybody, I believe, would. So now later that night, Shawn beats Diesel. All of a sudden, here comes Triple H, and here comes Razor Ramon. Now, this is good guys and bad guys mingling together, which is unheard of at this point. And you hear the guy doing the video, wait a minute, that's Razor. And that's Triple H. Oh, my God. So Diesel finally gets up. They all hug each other, and they give the send-off as the Click, or what Brett would call them, a cancer.
They were just missing. X-Pac was the only one they were missing.
He wasn't gone yet either, I don't believe.
I think he might have been injured. I could be wrong. No, he wasn't gone. He wasn't. Everything was
short. It was about a month later. I think 1, 2, 3 Kid was gone.
Or maybe he just wasn't on that card. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
No, he wasn't on the card. But he, I think he left right around that time. Then maybe, like I said, maybe a month later. I'm not totally sure. They all showed up in WCW pretty much around the same time. So yeah, they do the curtain call, and it's also called it's also referred to as the MSG incident as well. This was a serious breach of character, as it showed heels and baby faces, like I said, consorting with each other, and this pissed a lot of the guys off in the back. And I remember Vince. We've heard Vince ask Shawn, "Was it worth it?" He said, "Yes, it was." He goes, "Then it was worth it to me." But he had to lay down the law on somebody. Now, obviously, you can't punish Hall and Nash for this. They're leaving. Can't punish the top guy. You're not obviously going to take the belt off of Shawn for this, because who's to say Shawn wouldn't jump ship at this point if he did that?
He couldn't, because he was on the contract. So he couldn't.
Well, after his contract was over. I mean, and it also doesn't make any sense to pull the belt off him now when Brett's on hiatus, and Shawn is your top guy right now.
The whole thing doesn't even make any sense to me.
Well, he punished Triple H.
But it doesn't make any sense to me, because that was Triple H
punished him.
Yeah, because I don't like Triple H, but at the same time, you think that was Triple H's idea? No,
it was. But he's low man on the totem.
He's just going along.
Unfortunately, he went along on the wrong thing.
And supposedly, they went to Vince before and asked him if they could do it.
Oh no, they asked him, and he was okay with it. But he also, to appease the boys in the back, he had to do something, because if he lets this slide, this was like the Montreal Screwjob. A lot of guys took offense to this.
No, they did, because they exposed, especially Jim Cornette, because they exposed the business. I'm just saying it's kind of stupid, because
the tedious that they did this.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, we'll just punish Triple H, which and honestly, like, they didn't really punish him, because he still got the IC belt in the fall. So he was only really like...
They embarrassed him over the summer with the hog pen.
Yeah, that's just a few months. I mean,
they took the King of the Ring away from him, which thank God they did, because then we got what we got.
I'm just saying, when I remember, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Forget about it, because I don't want to get sidetracked.
No,
I'm just saying,
because it's involving the curtain.
No, because Triple H complains about it later on, and maybe he was just in character. Maybe he didn't really feel that way. But he's like, oh, I got buried, and I'm like, dude, it was a few months.
That was character.
And you got the IC, yeah. So anyway, either way.
He got the IC title, and the following year, he got the King of the Ring.
Right, so I don't want to get into a Triple H story, but,
But for that time being, he was the guy that they could do something to, because, again, you can't punish your WWE champion.
If actually you can. Actually, you can. You really can. You really can.
Well, he made him fight Vader. I mean, okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think they could have done to him?
They could have had him drop the belt.
Besides stripping,
they could have had him drop the belt. That's the thing.
But to who? Who could have carried the company through 1996?
I don't know. I know Brett wasn't there, but they could have just dropped. Even if it's only for like a month or two and he gets it back. I don't know. Shawn got away with a murder. We're gonna be here forever.
So that pretty much sums up Diesel's the final part of his WWE run. At some point, we'll get into we already have pretty much. We did the NWO in the fourth part, the installment, his 2002 run. His brief 03 run, but this was pretty much his WWE run. Eventually we'll do his WCW run, where tag champion, world champion, pretty much ran the company into the ground, but finger poke of doom. So I mean, his overall WWE career really established him. It gave him a wrestling career, unlike what he had at WCW. It was great moments, great matches. Unfortunately, like we said, he ran with the title in a very bad year. and he left for the money. And like I said, there's not a guy out there, not a superstar out there that wouldn't have done the same thing, unfortunately. But
Yeah, no.
for WWE fans like you and I really wanted him to stay. Him and Razor.
Yeah, I wanted him to stay too. Yeah, absolutely. So up next is gonna be what, Macho Man?
We're gonna do Macho Man Randy Savage, baby. So
All right.
That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. You guys tune into that. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.